Okay, hello and welcome to the Inclusive Higher Education for Students with, Inclusive Higher Education for Students with Intellectual Disabilities is Possible. Presented by Beth Foraker, the co-director of the UC Davis Redwood Seed Scholars Program. And she has a whole host of presenters joining us today, including Maddie Hinchley, the Employment Director, Gracie or Gray Adam, a Redwood Seed Scholar, Angela Min, a mentor, hopefully will be joining us a bit later, along with Carissa Chun, another Redwood Seed scholar. I'm Sarah Bleeg, a program support specialist for SIP, and I'll be your moderator for today's breakout session, along with my colleague, Thomas Velosa.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. We're so glad to be part of this amazing conference. And shout out to SIP and all the great work that's happening there. So we're at the far end of the spectrum of age, talking about young adults being fully included in inclusive college experiences. And we're going to talk about our program, which is the UC Davis Redwood Seed Scholars Program, and also help you consider other programs that are going on in our state. As you may be able to tell from my background, I am traveling and I have maybe an unstable internet connection, and with the hope of always being inclusive and having universal design, we have a lot of other people who can take over should I suddenly disappear. But so this is our Redwood Grove here at UC Davis. Redwoods should not be growing in the Central Valley. They are, they prefer the coastal fog and a cooler climate. But some people in the 1930s, we don't know who these amazing people were, but they planted a grove of redwood trees. They created the correct ecosystem and environment. They whispered, we know you can do it. And now we have these amazing redwood trees. And we are named after that redwood grove because we believe that people with intellectual disabilities can thrive in college too.
For this slide, we like to talk about how only 2% of college-age students with an intellectual disability are in college programs. So for the 98% of adults with intellectual disabilities who don't go to college, this is the current reality. Only 15% have paid employment in the community, 42% attend a day program or sheltered workshop, 44% report they often or sometimes feel lonely, and 29.3% live below the poverty line. This is a quote and a piece of art from the Minetti Shrem Art Museum located on UC Davis's campus. This present moment used to be the unimaginable future. Beth likes to talk about this quote because of the program that has been started at UC Davis, the Redwood Seed Scholars Program. Back in 2020, when Beth was working towards getting the grant for this program, and even before then, higher ed has been known as a place that is very exclusive and not open to people of neurodiversity or with people with intellectual disabilities. But now it's the present moment. We are here. We are on UC Davis's campus, and you're going to hear from the scholars, and they are not just here, but they are thriving. Okay. This is a photo of our move-in day from 2024. So our freshmen and sophomores live in dorms on campus, and then our juniors and seniors live in apartments called the Colleges at LaRue. And this was after a hard day's work of moving in all of their furniture. All the juniors and seniors moved in all their furniture and set up all of their apartments. And here's a picture of our current freshman class. This was their first day of orientation in the fall, way back when. So this graph is just representing how there's a small percentage of adults with intellectual disabilities who are employed at places where they receive competitive and integrated employment. And then here we have some data about the benefits of college for degree-seeking students: better relationships, better health outcomes, more civically engaged, better paying jobs, and happier across almost every metric. Okay, so the employment outcome surge. 61% of students who complete a TIPSID program had a paid job 1 year after exit. And then 92% are satisfied with their social life, which is super exciting. And that's something that we see here at UC Davis. So it's very exciting. I'm going to use the word exciting a lot because I'm very excited about our program. But we have our first graduating class this year. We have 8 scholars graduating, and 6 out of the 8 scholars want to continue to live in Davis because they have created a community here and they have found jobs that they're interested in working at, and they have built their resume and are even are going to be working part-time at some of the jobs that they were working at on campus after graduation. So that's something that's been really cool to see over the 4 years that they've been here. Our mission at the Redwood Seed Scholars Program is to support a self-determined and fully inclusive life for people with intellectual disabilities through post-secondary education that will lead to competitive integrated employment, and developing mentors that undertake the value of inclusion and work to make it a reality. Our vision, our scholars will have the skills upon graduation to be able to live their lives on their terms and follow their dreams. Redwood Seed Scholar mentors will work to build a more equitable, inclusive world upon graduation. Our scholars are awesome and our mentors are awesome. I could go on, but I'm gonna continue to go through the slides so that you can hear from the scholars and the mentors themselves. I'm gonna skip along here. Here's another picture of our scholars working at the community garden, actually the Redwood Seed Scholars Garden. One of our peer mentors, Sama, let's see, Sama's right here. She created a community garden for our program, and all of our scholars have been working to take care of the program. There's flowers growing there, there's vegetables growing, but again, I'll let the scholars speak to it. We use Slack a lot. It helps us create more of a sense of community on campus. It's great for communication. We're able to reach out to each other in a timely manner, and everybody's able to communicate with everyone in the program. I think in our general Slack channel, there's 257 people, and that includes scholars, peer mentors, and staff. And this is Sama, the peer mentor who created the garden. Very excited about her work from the day. There are 5 parts to the Redwood Seed Scholars Program. So academics, employment, residential, health and wellness, and social inclusion. And these are the 5 aspects that we focus on. So we have braided funding. Some funding comes from DOR and the Regional Center. DOR funds the tuition, transportation, and technology for every scholar, while the Regional Center funds the Living Learning Lab and mentors. As I spoke about before, these are our 5 different aspects of the program, and peer mentors are assigned an aspect. So there's academic peer mentors, there's employment peer mentors, there's residential peer mentors. And yeah, they can talk more about that. Disability is a value add. And then I'm going to keep moving along. At UC Davis's program, so we have 6 foundational classes for the freshmen and sophomores: self-regulation, sexual health, communications and technology, civics and social justice, budgeting and math, and literacy and writing. Winter quarter first-year scholars begin with Nutrition 10, that's a Davis class, and then spring quarter, they begin to work on campus. So we try to gradually introduce them to each part of campus. Davis is also known as I think the best town for biking in the United States. So all of our scholars learn how to use a bike if they feel comfortable, and are able to get from point A to point B, either using a bike or using transportation provided by the university. There's a great bus system in Davis. these are just some of the courses that our scholars are taking. I won't go through all of them, but I hope everybody can take a chance to glance at them. And this chart just shows how much support there is for the scholars. There's academic mentors, there's instructors, there's seminars, there's an academic director, there's wrap-ups, there's TAs, a homework hangout, and then of course, Beth, our program director. And these are some great photos of scholars at social events on campus. Let's see, I'll have the scholars speak to their social events. Where is Gracie still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Gracie, do you want to unmute and talk about some social events that you've gone to on campus this year?
Yes, indeed. When I went to the certain events, I went to Target.
Mm-hmm.
There is when I walked, there are like a buses by the MU, and I went there, and then I went like with a mentors, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like and I feel confident when I go on a bus like with friends, and I get like stuff from it, and then there's a football game in fall, and I really like it because like I was like go Aggies, and it's really fun, and yeah.
Awesome. And Gracie, who led the Target trip? The Target trips that you've been on?
um it was Adam Shea who
Okay.
runs
So
it.
it was peer mentor who ran it. Awesome. And how many other scholars went on the trip with the Target run with you?
It was like 4 or 5, 6 scholars on the bus, and like couples mentors and right there also. But sometimes people don't go to Target that much
Mm-hmm.
because there are like less scholars and less mentors. And then like
They may not need supplies during that weekend.
yeah,
May not need to restock. Okay.
yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. And then I saw Angela made it in. Hey, Angela, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks. Could you talk a little bit about social inclusion opportunities you've supported scholars with?
Oh, yes, of course. So, especially because they have very busy schedules throughout the week, for example, being employed, classes, so on and so forth, I primarily help with the weekend activities as well. So, like Gracie had said, in the fall, there's the football events, other sporting events, and that goes the same for winter and spring. They also have different opportunities to be in their core four groups. I know Eileen and Sophia, they are the leads for that. And so it fosters a group of freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors to create that bond between all four cohorts, especially for this year because we have our first um, what is it, seniors, first year for seniors. Um, and so definitely one of my favorite things about being able to help lead these events is that there's always scholars that are so eager to be able to want to lead, have that sense of independence. One in particular that I can remember is for a baseball event. It was a couple weeks ago. Blake, one of the other scholars, had really wanted to lead the event. So him and we texted. He was able to send messages out to remind other scholars that were able to go to meet at this time in front of this area so that we can all walk over together. And I would let them lead. I would primarily stick to the back so that they're able to lead the other scholars, lead them into make sure they have their tickets, so on and so forth. And so I feel like that's a really important thing. And for Target, I know Jalen, he's been the one to definitely lead all those events, which has been really exciting to see. I know he's always excited. He's always sending out those messages on Slack. And just seeing those like small things, having them have that independence has honestly been really amazing to see.
Thanks, Angela. Yeah, Jalen is a senior, one of the scholars who is a part of the first graduating class, and he is a super navigator. So he has figured out the paths to Target and Trader Joe's, and he supports the younger cohorts with navigating and heading out to Target and Trader Joe's. So it's been really cool to see Jalen take on that leadership role. Some more social inclusion. You can see slumber parties at the dorms, and then that is Sophie with a former peer mentor, learning about art history and how to make art museums more accessible. That's Jalen in the picture on the left. That's the super navigator in our program. A lot of scholars in our program are super navigators, but Jalen in particular runs those trips. And you can see on the right, that's Brian, another scholar in the program. Brian, I believe it was the first day he started, he told Beth that he was going to join the band and the track team. And she said, okay, what kind of support do you need to make that happen? And I believe he said, I don't need any support. And he just joined the club track team and the band, and he continues to participate in those activities. Here are scholars supporting Brian at one of the concerts that he played in. And more social inclusion opportunities at the MU, scholars at Picnic Day, which is a huge day in Davis with a big parade, and Redwood Seed Scholars has a float. We have a float.
Hey, maybe Karis is here, so Karis can speak
Oh,
maybe.
cool.
Yeah.
Hey, Karis, how are you?
I'm muted. Hello.
Hey, could you tell me a little bit about what it's been like being the first class, first cohort that's going to be graduating for the Redwood Seed Scholars Program?
Okay, so I'm Kiris Chen and I'm a senior here. Let's see. I guess the experience for the last 4 years has been amazing and fun, and then I guess then we could see the support has been more supportive and more growing year by year. And for me, graduating has been a little crazy, but I really don't know. I mean, I'm excited to graduate, but I feel like I'm not ready to graduate just yet. But yet again, things are falling into place. So, yeah.
Nice. Do you want to talk about what things are falling into place for post-graduation?
So, like, I have a plan, like, the supposed to be a plan for me after graduating from this program is for me uh to live here in Davis with apartment with some other seniors and just working, I guess. So, and try to be independent as much as possible without as much support of my family or parents.
Awesome. And do you have any jobs lined up yet?
So one particular one is like let's see. So work in progress, like me trying to work at the library or working with young kids.
How about with the program?
That one. Okay. Yes. So I'm also going to work for the program. So when I graduate, instead of being I'm going to be a mentor towards the scholars now, and then helping them and teaching them like what my of things experience that I learned.
And you're also already a mentor this quarter, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Do
I
you
mean,
want
without the actual like mentoring thing, but yes, I'm
to
mentoring
join us?
um uh a freshman who is interning at the library that I'm currently working at right now. So I'm mentoring her and her mentor because her mentor never done this works before. So yeah, it's been really interesting.
Awesome. And then you just started mentoring another senior at the preschool that you're interning at.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Karis. And I see Thomas put, if anybody has any questions for the mentors or scholars, feel free to share them in the chat. So I'll keep a look at the chat in case anybody has more questions. And then this slide is about biking, which is, we have a huge biking culture in Davis, as I mentioned before. I think Gracie, Karis, the scholars in our current presentation they're both bikers. Gracie, you just learned how to bike to work independently, right?
Yeah. When I walk with Maddie, she showed me around where the library is, and when I when I sit down on like an important wrap up, she want me to want me to ride my bike, and I'm like thinking about it, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna ride my bike independently, and I wake up in the morning Wednesday, uh, wearing professionally wearing a black pants, like, and the UC Davis work outfit, and I go on my bike, and I ride, and I know where to pass, and then I always see the California Hall, and I'm taking to the left and taking the right straight, and I find the library, and the library called Shields Library, and I worked at like a library archives, and then it's really easy, but it's scary when I ride my bike because there's a lot of traffic, but I got on my own, and I'm really proud of myself.
Yes, you're doing great, Gracie. Awesome. So biking is more than transportation. It's a form of personal freedom. And it's really cool to see what's possible because the scholars now have more independence. They are able to, they have more autonomy. They're able to get around not only Davis's campus, but downtown Davis, and are able to map out point A to point B and go with friends, go by themselves. They're able to coordinate with others or by themselves to get to go to where they need to be. More biking photos. Here is Slack. So I mentioned before that our program uses Slack. Our general channel has about 250 people in it, that includes everyone in the program. We have a Slack for all of the cohorts. Karis, do you want to talk a little more about Slack or any channels that you use frequently or any useful channels?
Yeah. So Slack is like a community base of like reaching out to mentors, scholars, even the professors in the program. The most I use is to interact with some scholars that I don't yet have access to them, like text and like that, or reaching out to professors in the program, like saying like, oh, I'm gonna be late for class, or I have something going on and I need to skip class, or just a sick day or something like that. Also, and then having create um a base of friendship of groups, like some like Beth sometimes make a group chat between me and some other scholars to get to know each other or help them in like taking them to work or to like I don't know activities or something, and they don't know the path yet. So it's a way like connecting scholars and even mentors. Like we use Slack to message our mentors for like uh when we do the activities things together. And then once we become comfortable, we can ask them for like the actual phone number, and then we could talk to them personally, stuff like that.
Awesome. Thanks, Karis. Angela, would you like to share how you've used Slack as a peer mentor?
Oh, yes. So I work as a residential mentor. So with that, I have to text my scholars the night before for a morning check-in or a couple hours before for a night check-in. And so it's very accessible for me to be able to create these groups like Karis had said. Or for example, Karis, when we were first talking, she is an amazing artist. So she had sent me some images of her drawings. It does create that level of kind of independence where they're able to they know, oh, if a mentor texts specifically for residential, I need a response so that the mentor knows if I need to be late for something. I know for some of my quads that I check in with at night, they have some night classes or they have dance classes at the Arc. So they text me early on to let me know, hey, Angela, I'm going to be late for check ins. Is this okay? And that makes me feel at ease because, especially for night, if they don't know the path as well, then I do get concerned just in case to see where they are, which is why I think night check ins are very important. However, besides that, just being able to text, for example, as before I had talked about Blake, um, having that level of contact connection definitely is very, very important, which is why I think Slack is great.
Awesome. Awesome. And then these are just some examples of scholars sharing exciting news with other scholars and other people in the program. You can see Liv wrote, Karis and I made dinner. Cooking is a big aspect of our program, especially for residential living, especially for our juniors and seniors, because they're living in the apartment, so they have their own kitchens. So that's something that we have peer mentors supporting the scholars with. And then as the scholars progress throughout the program, they become more and more independent with their cooking skills. So here are some photos from speaking at the UC Davis speaking with the UC Davis Med School students. The picture on the left, that is a freshman scholar, Layla, and Layla has just blossomed this year. She was very quiet in the beginning of the year, and now she is very outspoken and a huge self-advocate, and just so kind to all of the scholars and has really formed a lot of connections, which has been really cool to see. And here she is with her babysitter when, from when she was younger. So it was really cool. And she hadn't seen her in a while, but it was cool that she was able to make that connection and see her babysitter, who is now in med school and has an understanding of how to work with people with intellectual disabilities. So I'm not sure of her babysitter's name, but she's going to be a great doctor. All right, employment. So this is my wheelhouse. So these are just some of the places that our scholars are employed at. Our freshmen and sophomore scholars, or sorry, sophomore, junior, and senior scholars most have 2 positions. We're working towards all sophomores, juniors, and seniors having 2 paid positions. And then our freshman scholars, they start working in the spring quarter. So our freshman scholars just began a few weeks ago, and I'm going to turn it over to Gracie right now and ask her to explain what she is doing at her first internship on campus.
Yes. My first, when I worked at the library archives, I was like really confused what I'm trying to do, and when I'm like really slow at work, and then a couple of a while, my supervisor explained to me how I gonna do it. Like I like cropping stuff, like books and stuff, and then I scan books and take pictures of them, and it's really nice and it's really cool. to look at in person and explain how I do. And I tell Maddie that I love my job and I want to have that job next quarter. And yeah.
Yes, and Gracie, so you are working at the library archives and you get to work in the darkroom to take photos of books that are being archived and artwork. It depends on the day, right?
Yeah, I get used to it in the dark. So
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. I'm really glad that you're liking your position. And then, Karis, do you want to talk at all about maybe how you've been at the library for all 4 years or some of your employment work sites?
Mhm. Yeah, so the library was my first job here in Davis, and I've been working there for the last 4 years. So I started off like how Gracie is, and working. I work it in the circulation, and it's where like doing all the background stuff. Um, and then I've been working there for with a mentor about a little over 2 years. And I started working there without a mentor because I started know how to do this on my own. And then time to time where some other scholars also working along with me, they don't have mentors, and I'll step up and help them be, the mentor, help them and know things a little more than I do. And then over time I started working there and it's been very fun. Doing a similar small scale of what Gracie's doing, like scanning the books and stuff like that, and then I do other things. And then now with the new freshman that I'm mentoring, where Gracie is like another freshman, and then I'm mentoring that mentor because she doesn't know the task either. So, but that, yeah, I think.
Awesome. Thank you, Karis. Yes, so our scholars are placed all throughout campus at their work sites, and then we're also working to expand and work with potential sites off campus as well. Currently, we have a few off-site or off-campus sites, but we're always working to create more connections throughout Davis and Sacramento. I'm gonna turn to the next page. So I like this story. So this is Kira. She's working at Segundo Market on campus. She started working there last year as a sophomore. She's a junior now. And Kira started back up at the market in September. She took the summer off and went home. She had a lot going on with her family this summer. So when she started her first shift at Segundo Market, I told her her peer mentor wasn't able to make it. And I said, hey, I spoke with your supervisor. If you feel like you need to take a break or end the shift early for today, that's okay. So I give her that information at the beginning of her shift, and then I come back about an hour and a half later, and I say, hey, how's it going? Do you feel like you need to take a break or end the shift early? And she said, oh no, I'm fine. And then I go and speak with her supervisor, Carmen, and Carmen tells me that Kira is training the new employees at the cash register. So that was a really cool moment and just shows how much progress Kira has made and what can happen when opportunities are given to people, right? Kira got that opportunity to work at Segundo Market and she has ran with it. She had a peer mentor support at the beginning, but then became more independent over time to the point where she is now training new employees. And these are just a few other places where scholars have worked: bookstore, tour guides, Segundo Market, equestrian center, equestrian team, environmental safety services. I'm actually going to X out of the presentation for a moment to show a video that was just made by the Finance, Operations, and Administration Department, highlighting all of the scholars and supervisors who work under that department at different sites on campus.
The UC Davis Redwood Seed Scholars Program is an immersive college program for California students with intellectual disabilities. Scholars live on campus, join student life, take university courses, and gain valuable work experience. Over the past few years, scholars have worked in a diverse range of roles across FOA, advancing our mission while fostering a deeper sense of community.
For the Redwood Seed Scholar, we're helping them build skills to be more independent, to function out in the real working world, and also just helping them with things like communication and working with others. Everyone here in the program, like scholars and mentors, like they're just very nice, very open, and I don't know, it's just a very welcoming, very inclusive environment.
It's made me more aware of things we can do to support inclusion in different places.
The scholars, they come in, they're positive every day, which uplifts the team. They're willing to work, they're willing to do whatever's needed. So it's definitely had a positive impact on our team here at UC Davis. They've grown and developed where they no longer need a mentor. They can do the assigned duties on their own. They gain a sense of accomplishment. They get a sense of growth. And it's just great to see the smiles on everybody's faces.
I'd say it's really life-changing by being in this program and just getting to know everyone.
We usually have barbecues or special events happening here, and even toy runs.
For other managers here at UC Davis, I highly encourage you to consider employing a Redwood Seed Scholar. They bring a wealth of positivity to your team that can help you be more effective in completing your mission and supporting UC Davis as a whole.
I just want to say thank you to the Redwood Seed Scholarship Program, because I am glad I'm part of that program, because it really helped me a lot. It teaches me how to be more independent in my classes.
I want to shout out to the Redwood Seed Scholars because this is my last quarter, because I graduated, and it's a big time because I'm so super happy to graduate. I just like happy and happy tears.
Thank you so much for letting me work here. It's one of the best jobs I've ever had, and I'll never forget it. One time, if I try a new job, this job will always be the best. So thank you.
And besides, teamwork makes the dream work.
We're pleased to share that the Redwood Seed Scholars Program will celebrate their first graduating class in spring 2025. Congratulations, scholars, and thank you for your service to the university. You help make the university better every day.
Awesome. Oh, sorry about that. Didn't mean to stop the share. But that we are very proud of that video. Super excited that FOA wanted to highlight us and that they are so willing to work with us. Speaking of, sorry, as I try to pull up the presentation, here we go. So just to talk a little bit more about that video, Jen Carmichael, who spoke, she oversees a lot of the operations within that department. And right now since we have our first graduating cohort this year, we have been working with UC Davis HR to create a pathway to employment for the scholars at post-graduation. So UC Davis HR put their heads together and had a bunch of meetings and tried to figure out the best way to make this happen. And they decided that working with temporary employment services was the best route to go. So what's already in the works, Jen Carmichael has given it the okay, and there's 3 scholars who are currently getting ready for this pilot program to work out post-graduation. They will be applying for a temporary position post-graduation, and will be able to continue working at their position that they had in the program for the next 5 to 6 months. So the scholars are going to have an opportunity to continue to develop the skills at that job, independent skills at that job. If they want to look for another job, it buys the scholars more time to look for another job. When the 5 to 6 month period is up, the department can decide to hire the scholar permanently, part-time, or they may ask the scholar to find work somewhere else. However, we're really hoping that there will be some permanent part-time positions with this program just beginning. We're piloting it, we're seeing how it's going to go, and so far we're really happy with how it's been going, and we're really excited to see what's to come for our graduating scholars.
Maddie, sorry to interrupt. Your presentation isn't sharing at the moment. Can you just try reshare?
Oh, yes, let me do that.
And if not, I can share from my end if need be.
I think.
There we go. We can see it. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. And then here are just things to consider that we work with that we think about when talking to worksite supervisors, peer mentors, coworkers, considering the scholar's working memory, self-regulation, comprehension, executive functioning skills, attention and focus, and figuring out how we can best support the scholars with these skills depending on their individual needs. And this is just a chart highlighting the different ways that scholars receive support in the employment realm of the program. And here are different ways that we support the scholars at work: visual support, social stories, wait time, noticing if the schedule changes, breaking the task into smaller chunks. And there's a picture of Nina, Jalen, and Jared working at the mail distribution center. Nina is going to be working there part-time after graduation, which is very exciting. And then here are some scholars hanging out: Audrey, Kira, Caitlin, and Cleo. So Audrey came to UC Davis, meets a group of friends, takes human sexuality as her first UC Davis course, and then gets her first job at the Mondavi ticket office. And then she takes her second year course. She takes a course in gender studies, and then she has her first relationship. And when Audrey's peer mentors all met, they tried to discuss and figure out what are her hopes and dreams as she continues throughout this program. And she figured out she really wants to become a doula. So right now we're currently working on supporting Audrey with becoming a doula and finding opportunities within the Davis community so that we can make that happen. She did a great job. She interviewed right down the street at Sutter Hospital, and it was a group interview, and she had her notes prepared and she answered very thoughtfully, and you could just tell how excited she is to become a doula. Unfortunately, she did not get the position, but that's okay. She wants to keep working. She wants to keep finding other opportunities and to make this happen. And at the Redwood Seed Scholars, we're here supporting her with that. Okay, I'm gonna keep moving along. Beth or any of the scholars, stop me if there's anything you would like me to stop at. Okay, we have.
I can talk about that last picture, which was Finn doing, and I think Angela, you might have been part of that, so you can speak to it too. But basically, a senior who's in the back there, he works at the fire station. He's been a health and wellness mentor for all 4 years. And then he had a senior thesis project. And his idea was to build a first aid program in plain language, a first aid class in plain language for the scholars. So he did 2 sessions, one with the first and second years, and then one with the third and fourth years. And Angela, do you want to share a little bit more? Or Karis or Gracie, either any of you, because you guys were all part of that.
So yes, so I did attend both sessions actually. The first one was for the juniors and the seniors. The way that Finn had laid out his slides, giving a very he emphasized more on the visual aspect, also being able to help in the first cohort, the juniors and the seniors, and then the second cohort, the freshmen, the sophomores. Definitely with the help of all the other mentors, a lot, and then both cohorts, they worked in pairs of 2, in regards to how to perform CPR, how to perform first aid, being able to ask the questions. For example, what to do when a fire occurs, or when to use CPR. And honestly, that both experiences, I stayed for the full one for when Finn was telling the freshmen, the sophomores how to perform CPR and first aid. But honestly, that experience was really, really interesting, and I was really glad to be a part of it.
Thank you, Angela. Okay, I'll keep moving along. This is what our admissions process dates look like. And then Beth, did you want to talk about this?
Sure, just Governor Newsom does really support inclusive college programs. And so in 2023, he signed legislation to formally change the education code so that students with intellectual disabilities could access the Cal State system and the UC system. And then last year in 2024, he set aside $2 million for the next 5 years, so a total of $10 million to build the California Center for Inclusive College Programs. And that is a way for us as a state to, collect data and outcomes and share best practices and let families and educators, transition specialists, advocacy groups know what's possible, to start holding statewide conferences, to do exactly what was happening in this chat, which was, hey, UCSB should have a program. How do we get it going? So this California Center for Inclusive College Programs will be a hub of information and a hub of data to help our state really expand these programs all across the state. That's the California Center, yeah. And then this is Caitlin, a junior in our program, who she was part of the Disability Justice Committee, which is part of our student body. The AS, the Associated Students of UC Davis student body, has different committees, and one of them is Disability Justice and Disability Forward Committee. And she was on that committee, and the person in the left of this picture who's wearing a white button down, he was in charge of the Disability Justice Committee. His name was Ryan Menriquez. Previously, the year before that, when we had a first year, our program just started in the very first year, he was the president of SUCD. And he himself is physically disabled and really needs a lot of physical support. And so he just, understood access and opportunity in a very special way and really encouraged us to be part of ASUCD. So Caitlin, the entire group was making about 12 people from UC Davis went down to the UC Regents to speak. Caitlin went down and a mentor went with her to support her. And when they got there early, but they had never been to a UC Regents meeting before, so they didn't really know how it worked, and they were too late to sign up to speak. There were too many speakers in front of them. And so somebody gave up their spot so that Caitlin could speak. She was the only one from UC Davis to get to speak. She only had 1 minute, and here is her 1 minute.
Caitlin Reed, please proceed with your comment.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Reed. I am 20 years old, and I'm from Brea, California. I am a freshman in the Redwood Seed program at UC Davis. It's a 4-year college program for students with intellectual disabilities. It's supported by Chancellor May, and I am so grateful to have his leadership on campus. I have a paid job at the UC Davis Vet Clinic, working at the front desk. We need more college programs like this for people with disabilities. I am so grateful to be a Redwood Seed Scholar at UC Davis. With that, I call the university to invest more in disability justice by making sure that each UC has a funding needed to hire enough disability support staff to meet the diverse needs of diverse population. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, and we'll end with that. Does anybody have, it looks like we have about 5 minutes left. Does anybody have any questions?
A question for all the scholars and mentors. I'm curious what advice you would give other students thinking about applying to college and getting higher education.
I would give them advice for then becoming freshmen. Don't be afraid. People are gonna judge you. They don't. They care about themselves, and everyone will be supporting you. Even the mentors are supporting you. The Beth and Sarah will be there for you, and Maddie. They all gonna be loving you and supporting you. So don't worry about being afraid. Just show it and be yourself.
I would also like to touch on that. Um, what I really love about the Redwood Seed Scholars is that each scholar has a circle of support. I think it's very important to foster this like group, this community for each scholar in order for them to become their best selves. For anyone who is wanting to achieve higher education, please don't give up. It is very important that you try, and best of luck.
Awesome. Any other questions? Thank
Here's
you. Oh, sorry.
one more question for you guys before I close out. Can you use one word to describe this experience?
If I can use a dash, then I would say like life changing. It's definitely made my time at UC Davis so much more impactful, and I'm very fortunate that I have been able to become a mentor for this program, and I only wish for the best.
I think for me is fulfilling because I wanted to go to college, but never really have the opportunity, like, or because I was still in school, so I don't know what's my next plan was, and then I found this really last minute out of the nowhere, and it was a perfect thing for me to start off with something a new exciting. So yeah.
What I describe one word is the grade with Angela, life changing, and think about how great this program is. That's it, guys.